but these four pieces I find are really important. So, Post Impressionism emerged as a very diverse artistic movement in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. And this followed the Impressionist period. And it retained some of the Impressionists' focus on light, color, and capturing these fleeting moments. But Post Impressionism is characterized with a greater emphasis on individual expression. So, expression of the artist and also a formal experimentation. So, experimentation with painting, how paint is used to depict light and form, and how it is applied to the canvas. All right, so one notable characteristic of Post Impressionism is the use of very bold and vivid colors. So it's often applied in a non naturalistic way. So if we think about Monet, um, some of the colors are more subjective, meaning they're not local or objective colors. So there's like nuance in the colors, but he was still trying to capture things more as he saw them with color, like what he was seeing visually. But post impressionism was like purposefully more bold and subjective and more emotional with the color to convey meaning. So artists like Van Gogh, Gauguin, employed vibrant hues and expressive brushwork, so to create dynamic and emotional compositions. So, another key aspect is the exploration of form and structure. So, there was an experimentation with pointillism. So, we're going to look at Georges Seurat. So, point uh, by point, so using the brushwork to create dots on the painting surface to create a scene, simplified shapes and forms, as we see in Cezanne. And these techniques allowed artists to break away from strict realism of Impressionism and explore new ways of representing the world. So, new ways of representing the world is also a very important key trait of post Impressionism. So, they often infuse their work with personal symbolism of or like a narrative contents. So it moved beyond mere visual representation to explore deeper themes and ideas. So themes of the self, their own emotions, their experiences, their perspectives, and this led to a greater diversity of styles and artistic expression within the movement. All right, so first we'll look at Georges Seurat, a Sunday afternoon on the island of La Grande uh, Jatte, 1884 to 1886. So oil on canvas, and this can be seen in the Art Institute of Chicago. So he was a pioneering figure of post-impressionism, and he revolutionized the painting with his technique of pointillism, so using very small dots. So this is a very large painting, took him 2 years to paint, and he created vibrant and cohesive compositions. So this masterpiece exemplifies his meticulous approach um, and his mastery of light and color. If you look at it up close, you will see lots of pinks, purples, blues in the grass. So from far away, the, the colors do look more objective and local. And this is where science comes in, where putting colors next to each other creates this optical illusion. So he was very much influenced by science when making his paintings. All right, so Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night, which was painted in 1889, also oil on canvas, is considered a masterpiece of post-impressionism. a very emotional piece. Believed that it was created when he was in a mental institution, and it uses a lot of swirling brushstrokes, vivid colors. He's kind of conveying this other world landscape, perhaps what he was feeling when he was being hospitalized. There's a sense of energy and movement within his brushwork, and there's also a sense of serenity. And I think you could say that comes from the blues, and the blue is a very serene color. So it shows his ability to transcend reality and invites the viewer into his imagination, into his world, and into his emotion. So Edvard Munch, The Scream, is also a very, very popular painting. Existential angst and psychological turmoil. So these two adjectives best describe the painting. So the central figure, with a contoured face and open mouth, embodies a primal scream of despair and anguish. So there's a use of bold colors and swirling lines, as Van Gogh used, but there's much more like chaos to them, uh, a greater contrast of oranges and blues and grays, um, that creates a more sense of chaos. And then you see the people in the background. Their slim, tall figures are somewhat eerie, but it's like this, the scream of this man just kind of shouting out, um, in the midst of uh, a society that's quickly changing, and the loneliness of it. So he's trying to evoke the viewer to feel like this existential angst, um, which I think a lot of artists were going through during this time. All right, so the final painting we'll look at is Paul Cézanne's Large Bathers, 1894 to 1906. So 12 years, oil on canvas. So this, really defies traditional conventions of composition and representation. So through bold forms, vibrant colors, he depicts a group of bathers in a timeless landscape and merging figures and nature into a harmonious whole. So his innovative use of geometric shapes also create a sense of depth and movement. So you could see this kind of circle of figures receding in the background, and this arch created by trees kind of echoes that, which creates this sense of depth. So he explores light and shadow, and um, adds a subtle complexity to the scene. So he challenges the viewer to reconsider the perceptions of form, space, and reality. So, form, as we're thinking through the figure, how the figure is depicted, and these more squared uh, geometric shapes. How we're looking at space, the overlapping of the figures in relationship to the trees, and also reality, like just how things can be painted or represented in a way that is different. The figures are more yellow. They still there still is a close representation of a skin tone, but it's starting to move farther away from that.